Hello there, subscribers. My name is Dale Carson, attorney, Jacksonville, Florida, predominantly criminal defense and other legal problems as well. I wanted to talk to you today about concealed carry and road rage. Sadly, sometimes these things are synonymous. What happens is somebody cuts you off, and then they take their car and they try to stop quickly so you'll run into the back of them and you get understandably aggravated. People who behave like that are bozos. They shouldn't be on the street, but the fact of the matter is they are. And sometimes they have issues in their own lives that make them dangerous. Not because they're stronger than you or better looking than you are, but they're just dangerous because they're not right in their heads. We assume that everybody who's driving drives responsibly and ethically, but that's not always the case. And the problem is, if you carry a concealed firearm and you practice and use that firearm as any responsible gun owner will, then you have something to lose. Not just your gun, but your right to carry. And you certainly may have property, you may own your car. All of those things are at risk if you get into a civil case with an aggravated assault. And aggravated assault occasionally can simply be displaying your weapon in order to cool things down. But I will tell you right now, look, if someone attacks you with a car with a 4,000-pound GMC beast, you have every right to defend yourself. Nobody's ever going to question that. But if you're sealed in a steel container as well, another car, the potential for injury is substantially less than if you're walking on the street or standing in the roadway. So you have to use some sort of comparative common sense and analysis when you determine whether or not you're going to extract your weapon and display it or point it, and certainly when you're going to fire it. All of those things create a problem. If you are viewed as the initial attacker, you're going to be in deep trouble. Again, you're a responsible person. You've got stuff to lose. The individual that is behaving poorly, that caused this problem, probably has nothing to lose at all. They're driving a ratty car. They got bad insurance. All of the things that ought to be a red flag to you and go, whoa, wait a minute. I better not behave this way toward that jerk. What you should do is slow down. Just simply slow down, back off. I know it's a wound to your male pride. I'm there. But that's not what's important here. What's important is not having to deal with law enforcement, being accused of an aggravated assault. Look, if you cap a round off at the guy and you hit him, you could be charged with murder. Let's not do that. The firearm is there to protect you and your family, and in rare circumstances, some third party that you don't know. And only in rare circumstances, that third party that you don't know. A handgun is a defensive weapon. It's not an offensive weapon. If you want an offensive weapon, carry a shotgun or a long rifle. But a pistol is designed to protect you. And if you reach a point with someone where you believe you're in imminent fear of death or great bodily harm, and that's the term that's required to be met before you use force against force, if it's not met, you're in trouble. If it's met, you better react, because if you don't, you're gonna die. And we don't want that to happen, not to a responsible, legitimate citizen like you are. So look, if you display a gun, you better be the first person to call the cops. When the cops get a phone call, there are two types of people involved in a police officer's lives. They are victims and perpetrators, okay? Typically, the first person to call is going to be the victim, right? This guy has nothing to lose, but he's got a cell phone. He's going to call 911 and say you attacked him. And how are you going to defend yourself? That's why I don't like people to show me their handgun, show me what color it is, what kind it is, what caliber it is. All those things are great. And I understand mail sharing and bonding. It's important to our tribes. But I will tell you, if people know what kind of gun you carry, then they're in a position to lie about your having used it to point at them, to threaten them. If they don't know what kind of gun you carry, when the police officer asks the witness what kind you carry and he can't describe it, you win. But you don't even want to get in that position. That's why when we use a gun for self-defense, it should only be displayed when you're pretty sure you've got to put some lead downrange. And if you don't have to put some lead downrange at a perpetrator who's trying to hurt you, you got no business really pulling your gun out. It should not be used as a symbol that if someone comes, they're going to get hurt. Now in Florida, recently there's been a law passed that says you can fire a warning round. I don't advise that. Warning rounds are dangerous. I mean, the only place to shoot them is in the dirt right at your foot, but that could injure you. And a ricochet can hurt any number of people. So that's not something you as a responsible gun owner need to be thinking about or doing or preparing for in these circumstances. And what I like to do is, Einstein, pretty smart fella, and he did things with mind imagery. It's how they talk about gravity, for example. And gravity, if you stand in an elevator and you pull it this direction, gravity's going to be right here. And that's a mind puzzle. And that's how Einstein figured out a whole bunch of things about how the universe actually works. You need to play those games, essentially, with yourself. Go through intellectually and mentally what you would do if some guy got out of the car and walked back at you to hammer on your window. Can you use a firearm then to protect yourself? Or would it be better to drive away, not toward him, but away from him? Those are things that you need to consider. Having a handgun for a defense is an important and valuable tool, but it can only be used properly if you know how to use it and when to use it. If you have any questions concerning this, other firearms use, there's a great book out. This is it right here, Florida Firearms. It's in its 9th edition now, but it's a great reference source about use of firearms, particularly in Florida, what the requirements and restrictions are. Remember, if you are fishing or hunting, you can have a weapon in your car, in open display or concealed if you're fishing or hunting. Now, that means that, you got to have the stuff that you would use to fish with, a fishing pole, live bait, all those kinds of things. So there are important rules and things to learn about firearms possession and use in the state of Florida. And if you have specific questions, listen.